Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Black Ambition Media. Xavier, let's kick it real quick. Let's have some spirited discussions and topics. Your governor, we live in California, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not a California resident and you subscribe to Black Ambition Media, just know me and Xavier, born and bred in California, and our governor had some comments recently about the second term, a very, very unprecedented. See, I can't even can talk. I think we're good on the cussing too. Unprecedented second term by Donald J. Trump, our 47th president of the United States, and he had some comments. So let's hear what Gavin Newsom had to say about Donald Trump and how he's been acting since he's been in office.
Wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. He doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
Had my boy red.
Had him red. I ain't seen Gavin this mad in a minute.
I ain't really know if I've ever seen Gavin that mad.
Right. So let's go over some of the things that Trump has been doing since his second term. I got some stuff right here. It's felt like this Trump presidency, especially in the second term, he's come into office knowing exactly what he needed to do in order to affect the change that he has wanted to affect.
I mean, they did drop like a 1,000-page book that, I mean, I understand it was 1,000 pages. Ain't nobody reading that. But he completely laid out exactly his plans of what he was going to do. Actually, in fact, things that have been in place even since Biden has been in office.
Right,
so
right.
If you went and listened and read or listened to anybody talk about Project 2023.
Project 2025.
2025?
Yeah, 2025. Project 2025. Right.
Project 2025. He really just goes out there and says exactly what he wants to do and how he's going to go about accomplishing it.
Right.
So I just get a little bit more and more confused when I start to see people like Gavin like, oh my God, Trump's going to run for a third term. I mean, yeah, he told us we don't got to vote again. Right.
It seems like all the Dems and their attitude from how they've handled Trump, even pre him getting elected, pre-election, how Kamala Harris, we talked about this last week or the week before that, how she ran and the way she ran her campaign, her marketing strategy and everything seemed to be aimed around Trump wasn't as big as a threat that they were saying that he was.
Right, and I'm not sure exactly where they got that information from.
Right. So let's go over this. It was a very, very historic comeback. Donald Trump was reelected in 2024. He became the second U.S. president to serve a non-consecutive term after Grover Cleveland. He also became the oldest president to be elected. In the first 100 days, he signed 143 executive orders, a level unmatched by any president, including FDR. And I believe FDR was the president during World War II. He signed more executive orders than the president that was here during World War II. That just wows me. His legislative agenda enacted the One Big Beautiful Bill, a sweeping budget package combining tax cuts and nearly $170 billion toward mass deportation efforts, border security, ICE expansion, and detention facilities, sparking bipartisan concerns. Implemented terror strategies, included on China, Canada, and Mexico, triggering the market. He's done a lot. He also bombed Iran.
Oh yeah, among other things.
So, do you finally think in August? It's August 15th, 2025 right now. Do you think that people have, number one, woken up to what Trump has been doing in the country? If not, when the hell are people going to wake up? I understand that we always going to have those MAGA supporters that are going to ride till the wheels fall off with Donald Trump. But the rest of the country, do you think the rest of the country has realized what situation we are in as Americans right now?
I mean, I would hope so, because even among all the things that you mentioned that Trump has done within his time in office, we didn't even mention the tariffs.
Yeah,
We didn't mention the shitstorm of an economy that we have right now. So I would have believed that is what would have got people to start realizing that maybe we have the wrong guy in office. Because if it wasn't that, was it the fact that we're firing federal employees left and right? We no longer have anybody trying to, hey, airplane, come land here. We don't have
air traffic controllers.
We don't have federal workers
Yeah.
anymore. Teachers getting fired left and right.
Cut.
Everything that you can think of, government aid, everything that you can think of has been impacted. And I'm surprised that people are not in these streets every single day. Yeah, we had a couple protests. We had the No Kings rally during Trump's birthday, but it's not enough. He does something every single day, which means we should be in them streets every single day. And the reaction that I'm seeing from the average person, because again, we didn't even include all these ICE raids. The response I'm seeing from the average person is not urgent enough. So that's kind of where I'm at. It just seems like we're allowing him to get away with this stuff. Yeah, we have Gavin Newsom who is saying, yeah, we need to wake up before Trump is running for a third term, is really getting to that point. And then we also have people like Kamala Harris who said, yeah, this system is broken. I'm not even going to run for governor anymore. It's beyond me now. So we have powerful people on both sides saying that this system is so broken that I give up. I'm just gonna go write a book.
What's a Democrat's strategy at this point in time? I think that what Donald Trump has brought into the United States political system has been something that's very, very unprecedented. We've never seen this before. Somebody that can just lie, fabricate things, just flat out just tell stories, do whatever he wants in a way. And like in 2025, the truth is boring. Like what the truth is, what's reality, and what really is supposed to happen, and how people really feel, how things are really supposed to be, how people are really supposed to be treated, you know, as just average Americans and average citizens and just people of this world. Those things are not only taken for granted, but the truth is boring. Right. So when somebody comes in and just starts lying on everything, just starts speaking to the choir of what white America and what this system has been for so long, it's different. It's not the same politics that the Democrats have been fighting against for how long they've been fighting against it. It's different now. I don't even know how they attack it, because the Democrats are not going to get nasty and dirty like Donald Trump will. We go high, we do this, I don't think you can still do things in the same political climate that you did before, but I don't know how Dems attack this without attacking him, and they won't do that.
Right, because this isn't the NBA. We don't got refs on the sideline
that
are going to hold these politicians accountable for breaking the law.
Right.
We should be. Those are called judges. But, I mean, he owns them as well.
Yeah, look how the Supreme Court acted.
Right. He owns them as well. So they're not going to hold him accountable. Mm-hmm. So the people who should be holding them accountable, the Democrats, because, I mean, them winning elections literally relies on it. But we see them doing the exact opposite. With Kamala during her time, with her 100 and something days, we saw herself aligning herself more with Republicans and Republican ideologies. So we're seeing that shift from Democrats to being more conservative, and I'm hoping that's not a kind of a telltale sign for politics in the future, that the overall ideology of Americans on a global scale is just going to be conservative, and we're just straying from liberal ideologies. Because other than who do we really have fighting for liberal ideologies? I mean, I would love to say Bernie Sanders, but I mean, I even saw him saying some Israel talking points.
Yeah.
Which is very, 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 very unfortunate. I wish I was old enough at the time. I would have threw a vote in there for that boy. But he's doing the same thing Kamala Harris was doing. Why are you aligning yourself with Republican talking points? when the easiest thing to do is to stray away from the things that Americans, predominantly as a whole, even a lot of Republicans, don't agree with how we are handling the Israel-Palestine genocide. But at the end of the day, it just looks like the Democrats are just soft Republicans.
Right. And you brought up the conflict that we have, and I have to get the numbers of how many Palestinians have been killed, but the Dems, I think, made a grave mistake in not really saying anything about the war when it was going on, when genocide was happening. A lot of things were happening under the Biden presidency, and Kamala Harris had a point where, okay, you are Joe Biden's vice president, and you do, in a certain way, in a certain aspect, have to give respect to him and give respect to that office and what Joe Biden was doing in that office. But there were times, plenty of times in that campaign, the 107 days that Kamala Harris had to run for president, where she could have said, I want to do things different than Joe Biden. And people asked the specific question to Kamala Harris, what do you think that you would do differently than Joe Biden? What did Joe Biden do wrong? Did Joe Biden do anything wrong? And people were looking to Kamala Harris to say anything about this conflict that's been going on, and she chose not to say or steer away from Joe Biden and his policies at all. What we see going on in the Middle East is a travesty. We've been seeing it for too long. The American tax dollars are going to funding Israel, and it's not getting any better under Trump. This is another thing that I feel like the Dems 1000% could have taken a stand on and got people behind them, and they just didn't.
Right. And I'm glad that we are touching on this point because unfortunately, as we have seen in more popular media, when people do start to bring up Israel, Palestine, or just more global issues in general, they seem to be brushed off. So I'm glad at least some people are able to have this type of conversation. And we had our fact-checking team off of air sent us over some facts.
Okay.
So we have the approximate death toll since October 7th, 2023 for the Palestinians, and that is hovering around 61,722 people and about 154,000 that have been injured since October 7th, 2023. And I know what you might be asking. Wow, but it was such a giant and tragic attack that the Palestinians led against Israel. There was a concert going on. Yes. Since 2023, there have been approximately 1,700 Israelis that have died. So 1,700 Israelis died since October 2023, and about 61,000 Palestinian, which have been mostly children. I'm glad you brought that point up, because I'm thinking out of the 61,000, we've heard about innocent children. These are innocent lives that we're talking about, and the United States of America has funded and backed Israel throughout this whole ordeal. Nobody in mainstream politics have said anything worthwhile about Palestine. Right. If it's not Mark Lamont Hill, and we saw how he got treated.
Yeah.
Over at the JBN now.
Right. Do you think it is the responsibility of some of these higher ranking media members? You mentioned Joe Budden in the Joe Budden podcast. A New York Times article just came out about the Joe Budden podcast. He's doing very, very well for himself, or what he's built over a 10-year span of podcasting. Now, they talk about everything, a little bit of everything. It's not just a music podcast, but do you think main media members should be held accountable for talking about real life issues that are going on?
This may be unpopular, but I will say no.
Okay.
I will say no, just for the simple fact that I have listened to the Joe Budden podcast, and I don't mean to single them out, but as one of the most popular podcasts, maybe ever, especially one of the most popular podcasts now, as you mentioned, outside of just hip hop. Joe Budden he doesn't just talk music anymore.
Right.
Take me back.
Right.
But they don't just talk music anymore. So I will single them out since they are one of the most popular. I have listened to the Joe Budden podcast talk about real world issues or just important topics that don't pertain to music that actually affect everyday people. I have heard them talk about these things with Mark Lamont Hill not on the podcast. And when I tell you that be some of the most unproductive shit I have ever heard in my entire life, no. I don't believe that everyone, just because you have a fan base, needs to say something about what's going on. I would love to say, yes, if you have a certain amount of followers, a certain amount of following, you should feel a certain responsibility to speak on things that actually affect your fan base. But if you don't have the wherewithal, the education, or the ability to speak on that in a productive way, then you're wasting everybody's time, and it's actually doing a lot more harm than good. So, no. But I do feel like those same platforms should have on someone like a Mark Lamont Hill who is able to convey that message, because we have seen how people are treated when they go on national television and try to have those same conversations. They are blackballed, they are stripped of their credentials in a sense, and they are now in podcast land. Shout out to the gang.
Right.
So no, but I do think they'd have some responsibility to invite those people on to have those type of conversations. Yes, I myself might not be the right person to talk about this, but I understand the weight of my channel, how the following that I have. So I'm going to bring on someone to have that conversation. I'm glad that they've done that full time now, because I'm thinking Joe is understanding the reach that his show has, and it just can't be him spearheading some of these conversations, because that nigga be saying some shit sometimes.
Yeah,
and they don't be letting my girl Melissa talk enough. Because even when she do be talking, sometimes she don't be talking. She be talking about some talking. She don't need to be talking all the time. But sometimes she really be on there spitting, and they be gaslighting my girl.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And it just takes a productive conversation into a lane where it just was useless.
That's why I do have to give some credit to Joe as the main guy for bringing somebody like Mark Lamont Hill on. The problem stems from, and I do agree with you, everybody doesn't need to talk about everything. Like,
Yeah, I don't think so.
we have to stop with, just because you do have a platform and you have a certain amount of people that follow you or whatever, that you just have to be able to talk about some things. I do though agree that you can spend some time saying this shit is fucked up.
Right.
Like, you know that this, like, innocent people dying is just not right. So you can go on your platform and say, hey, I do not condone this.
Like, and I'm glad you said that, because I don't believe what Joe said was enough, but for his platform and what he talks about on a daily basis, it was enough. He just went out there and said, it was definitely some all lives matter type shit, but he just went out there and said, I don't believe nobody should die and this conflict should end. Boom. Nigga, that's it. It didn't go too in depth. He didn't necessarily say that I'm pro Palestine. I didn't necessarily say that Israel should not exist. I didn't say any of that. I just said that this conflict should come to an end. Nobody should be dying.
Right.
Is that stance hard enough for me? It's not hard enough for me. But for what they're meant for, hey, I appreciate that. So, in addition to, like you saying, bringing on people to have those conversations, I do want to just give him that shout out too, because I feel like I was kicking his back in a little bit.
I mean, hey, but this is the first time we're seeing somebody that has a black independent media platform that, you know, has to, from what the Joe Budden podcast was, and I've been listening to the Joe Budden podcast ever since he had Rory and Mal on there back in the day. Ever since that was a groundbreaking movement, you saw him with his friends, you saw different iterations of this podcast, and now the podcast, from what it is now, is something different than what it was when he first started it. This is one last point I want to make about this. Why does ESPN's First Take with Stephen A., which is the #1 sports show in America right now, talk about the Cowboys so much, and the Cowboys have not been relevant for since 1993 or 1995, somewhere around there, they have not won a Super Bowl. Why does ESPN First Take still talk about the Cowboys? You got to answer?
As a Steelers fan.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I'm a hardcore fan in the sense that I know everything, but I've definitely been a Steelers fan since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's very popular to hate on the Cowboys.
Right.
Right. As a kid growing up, I always heard about them being like the Cowgirls, them being trash. Right. I honestly think a lot of it stems from the fact that people labeled, not people, but I think it was ESPN. I can't remember specifically who, but they labeled the Cowboys as America's team.
There you go.
Right. And I think that's really what kind of triggered a lot of people, not just people who might be anti-Texas, right, with the mindset of what Texas is supposed to represent, but people who are representative of other teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you hear like, oh, America's team, and the Cowboys haven't even won. I mean, they're up there. They haven't won the most Super Bowls though, and like to sit there and say that they're America's team, especially with a lot of Americans and their idea of fairness, they probably feel a little like ripped off. Like, what do you mean they're America's team? What do they do to deserve it?
We have a Steelers fan in the building right now. A team that has won, I believe, 6 championships, but multiple championships, have been relevant in the eyes of football fans for a very, very long time. But ESPN's First Take is still going to talk about the Cowboys. Why? Because the Cowboys make money, the Cowboys are relevant, and the Cowboys are a subject that people want to hear, see, and talk about. When it comes to podcasting, we've been through this. We started Black Ambition Media, Xavier, with what? The Rising. We started talking about black issues. We were talking about nothing but black issues. We weren't talking about music. I wasn't up here talking about sports. We weren't talking about anything that people, the regular person, would deem as enjoyable. So, yes, a Joe Budden. Yes, some of these other platforms have a grip and a gripe and a conflict that they have to deal with. We're going to talk about Chance the Rapper after this. I bet you that the Chance the Rapper rap video, when we're talking about music and just having fun with the shit, is going to have more views than what we're talking about right now with Israel Palestine conflict.
100%. It was trash.
Way more views. What was trash?
I forgot. I'm turning into these Gen Xers. Trash. Trash just means mid now.
Okay,
Well, it was mid.
we'll talk about that on everyday hip hop. But for the time being, what I'm saying is, what is really going to get the views is the drama, is the clickbaity shit that the average consumer wants to listen to versus this. And that's the fight that each and every creator, no matter if you're doing a podcast, a TV show, whatever, you have to talk about the things that people want to listen to. And unfortunately, with the state that we're in, talking about Donald Trump being our president, people voting for him, other minority groups voting for Donald Trump in this election, a lot of mind-boggling shit going on in 2025 right now. You have to then play the game of what you really want to talk about. And here at Black Ambition Media, we're always going to talk about the real shit, because that's what matters to me. That's where I can sleep at night and say, hey, at least we tackled this. And if I didn't touch nothing but one person on this camera to think and research and just have a thought about what's going on other than what's going on in their life and what celebrities are doing or who dropped an album or whatever, if we can spend some time and actually talk about the real life issues of what's going on, how people are being taken away, shipped to facilities, shipped to other places, like places they've never been before, this stuff is mind-boggling to me. It's like we're in a simulation. But we have to spend the time to talk about the things that really, really are important. And, you know, that's what we're going to do here at Black Ambition Media.
I mean, it's definitely necessary. I know we're definitely getting up there in age, so it's not like we can say we're speaking from the youth anymore. We ain't really the youths like that anymore.
That's true.
So we're gonna keep it down for our generation. But definitely, I've seen a lot of people younger than us and in high school who are definitely having a lot more of these conversations, which is great to hear. Having these conversations and this dialogue at a younger age is very, very necessary. because as we can see a lot of the times, especially in 2025, wisdom no longer comes with age. A lot of y'all old niggas is dumb as shit. I don't really know how to put it less blunt than that.
Nah, that's real. And on that, that's a mic drop. Thank y'all for joining us.